Hello again, I am Blunty, and I quite like the Nintendo Switch Joy-Con. I have a video all about using them in their different configurations versus the Pro Controller, as a matter of fact. But long story short, I like using them freehand, separate. I really don't like the so-called comfort grip at all, which I find neither comfortable or significant enough in its lobes to grip as I would a normal controller. IMHO, it is poorly named. And in fact, I have at least 4 different aftermarket clip-on grips of various styles and approaches coming in for reviews soon, so stay tuned for those. Meanwhile though, I just built my first 3D printer, a review of which will also be coming in soon. And after a few small test prints to make sure I was up and running properly, the first proper thing I actually printed out was this Joy-Con grip I found on Thingiverse, a repository of 3D print models, by user Artobot. Sadly, the very small amount of 3D printing filament that was supplied with the 3D printer kit ran out before it was finished printing this, but enough of it did print so I could test it out at least. I also haven't done any work at all in cleaning up the test print, no sanding or filing or anything like that, so please excuse the rough and ready look. Designed to tilt the Joy-Con in a more comfortable, shallow angle, I mainly chose this as my first print because the shape, with its inward and outward angles and the indented Nintendo Switch logo, as well as the tolerances and accuracy required for the rails that secure the Joy-Cons to work properly, it seemed like a decent test of the printer, and my calibration. And it worked pretty well. The Joy-Con do slide in and friction fit quite securely. There's even a space in the design for the bumper rails. They're not functional, of course, but I guess it's a handy place to store them. In actual use, it's surprisingly nice. The spacing and angle all feel pretty good, and the flat back and gap in the middle give my fingers somewhere to curl, my main complaint against Nintendo's own solution. As a 3D print, it's a long way from perfect, but as my first legitimate attempt to print a functional item from a 3D printer I had literally just built myself out of a box of parts a couple of hours before, I'm pretty freaking chuffed. If there are any 3D printer veterans out there and you have some handy tips or resources, please feel free to let me know in my down below area. I am going to spend the rest of my day idly poking through Thingiverse for other things to try. There are so many cool things on there. I already have several dozen bookmarks, including a couple of other variations of this idea, including one that joins up at the top instead of the bottom, which I think might be even better because it gives you some extra space for your fingers. And of course I already have bookmarked various Nintendo Switch stands and docks, because again, Nintendo's own stand and dock are, I don't think, the best solutions possible. But yeah, fun little project, surprisingly functional and simple design, and not a bad first whack at 3D printing, even if I do say so myself. Except for the fact that I ran out of filament before the job was done. I wonder if there's a way to actually calculate how many meters of filament any given model will actually need to print. Google time! Thanks for watching, I am Blunty, and I will catch you next time.